Hi there! Are you about to play your first tabletop game but have absolutely no idea what the table etiquette is? Don't worry, we've got you covered. This is Table Etiquette and Gameplay by the BBEG Podcast.
We're rolling. Dice. Camera. Action.
Table etiquette applies to the place that you are playing on, whether that be online or in person, in a shop, or in your friend's living room. All of these have different rules. Whether that be you are a new player or an experienced player, please make sure that you sit near a new player if you are experienced, or a experienced player if you are new. And if the DM says it's okay, if you hear the call
I'm confused
of a new player who is confused, please make sure you step in and help them. We've all been there. We've all been stuck. We've all been new. So it is really helpful if you are able to lend a hand. It will encourage them to keep playing, and it won't stifle the game or hold up the game if you do. The next thing to be aware of is time management. Now, a top tip from us to you is to make sure that you are battle ready. Now, this means that you have all of your spells and movements ready right after your turn or right after you roll initiative. That way, in between turns, you have enough time to help anyone who needs it or have a break. Once you have rolled initiative, you will then know the amount of time between your turn that has just been and your next go. So you are able to get battle ready, and if you do need to leave the table, please be sure to mention it to your DM. That way, if you are late back for whatever reason, they are able to modify the situation to accommodate you. Now, that may be in the form of you miss your turn to pick up again later, or the game takes a slightly different route until you get back. But make sure you mention it first.
Half of table etiquette is being ready for the game, whether that be for the players, remembering your dice and your books, for the person who's hosting the evening to have the area set up, even to who is bringing the food tonight. For the player, your dice and notebook, it is vital. Please remember, if you do not have physical dice, that is no issue. There are plenty of apps out there. If you're using an app, make sure your phone is charged. And just so you know, the app I use is an app called Mighty Dice. It's really good for rolling like multiple dice at a time if you're doing big damage. Your notebook is so important. It is your character's brain. If you didn't write it down or you forgot your notebook, your character might not remember some vital information crucial for this session. And if your DM isn't one to remind you, you're on your own, Chief. Just something for the DMs out there, just to test your players. Around our table, the players, do the recap, just so M can see how much we remember of his work. If you're partial to a snack, just double check with the DM that you're allowed to bring food to the table. However, if you're playing with friends, I'm pretty sure they'll appreciate the nourishment. But do not be a snack dragon, hoarding your little stash. Try and be considerate to those you're playing with around the table. For example, one of our friends can't have dairy, so they'll have sweets, and one of our friends can't have pork products, which includes gelatin, so he'll have like chocolate or crisps or something like that. However, if you are playing for a few hours, food and drink is going to be necessary, so everyone can bring something to the table. Speaking of drinking, make sure you check with your DM if alcohol is allowed at the table. Some DMs don't like their players being under the influence while their players are influencing the game. Something that's not tangible that you really can't pick up off these shelves at the supermarket? Energy. Bring energy to the table. It's a role-playing game. Make sure you're invested in it. However, if you're not feeling yourself, that is no issue. Just tell the DM you're not feeling great, and then they won't push you into the role-playing aspects when you really don't want to be in the spotlight that session. It's completely fine.
Now, a big part of being a DM is being able to fit the story or a chapter of that story into a set amount of time. Now, this can start to get tricky when people start arriving late, so if you are running late, just make sure you update your DM. Also, make sure that they are aware if there is a time you need to leave by. Then once you have told them, just make sure you're attentive and follow their direction through what they have planned. This is for both your friendly neighborhood DM and a paid professional. The respect for the DM is also something that extends into conversation. If you are with a hired DM or a table of strangers, make sure you are respectful and keep that chatter and friendly back banter to a minimum. Everybody loves a good laugh, but when the DM tells you it's time to move on, or when they ask for more quiet, just be ready. The respect at the table goes both ways. As a DM, you control the game, yes, but don't rule it with an iron fist. It will stop the creativity and players won't want to get involved. The yes and is a powerful tool, however, for both DM and player, don't be afraid to pull the no but. The no but allows for discussion and it doesn't stop the creative storytelling. So, DM, trust that your players are going to respect the decision and move on with the game. You are in charge of a lot, including time management, storytelling, and everything. Make sure that you are fair in your decisions and make sure you have the authority to call it. If the game is taking too long, don't be afraid to edit and push on. Or if a player's decisions doesn't quite fit the parameter of your world, well, at least give them an explanation as to why so they can understand.
RESPECT. I cannot stress enough how important it is for you to respect the players, the GM, the game. Now this covers everything from when the DM says a critical fail is a critical fail to when other players are talking with the DM. Please respect the table, the DM, and the other players' decisions. This does also cover the DM having the final word. You have to go with it. It's their game. Also, other players, you're not going to particularly like the way they do things or the way they play, but you have to respect their decision and lean in. Trust me, it makes the game a hell of a lot more fun if you just go with it.
Now, something we do need to approach is table etiquette in different locations. There are many ways to play. You can play in person at your mate's house. You can play in person at the game shop. You can play online with your friends or online with strangers. It doesn't stop there. Every one of these locations will have different table rules that you should be following. If you're in person with your friends, then feel free to have a little bit of chat, have a little bit of banter around the table. If you're in person at a game store with a DM that you don't know, maybe pay a little bit more attention to their words so they don't think you're being rude. There's a difference between having banter with your friends and having banter with strangers while someone's trying to run a game. If you're online, please bear in mind there will be a little bit of lag, so make sure you're not talking over anyone. Give it a second before you speak. It's also a little bit harder to read social cues through a camera or through Discord or through voice. If you have a question or a query, just put your hand up and the DM will acknowledge you when they finish talking. Also be conscious of time within these scenarios. If you're with your mates, you kind of know each other's lives, so you can go, oh, someone needs to get up at 7, so let's wrap up at 10:30, 11 so they can get home. If you're at the game store, then you only have a select amount of time at that table, so you need to be on the ball and keep it moving at times. If you're online, there could be tech issues, so maybe log on a little bit early, make sure everyone's mics and cameras are set up, and everyone is ready to go.
Whether you are a new or a returning player, you're going to develop some good methods and skills that are transferable. Some people are going to pick up these things quicker than others, so if you're one of those people, please be patient with the others around you. The skills such as maths and good communication and time management are going to be very useful in life, and if you are able to help others around the table develop these, then the game will be more enjoyable for all. Be patient and help them where it's applicable. And that's it. Just remember you need your notebook, your dice, be kind and be respectful, and make sure that if there is anything that is influencing your gameplay that you think is important, then raise it. Now you know how to face the table. Happy adventuring.